me, the purpose of doing a read aloud with a group of kids is to get them excited about literacy, to get them excited about reading, to show them how you go about reading, and maybe the first thing I do is we look at the cover and we try to figure out what we think the book is going to be about just by looking at the pictures that are on the cover. And after we do that, then we do what's called a picture walk, and we look through the book and we look at the pictures and we try to decide. You can do it two ways. You can come to it ahead of time and teach the vocabulary as you're doing the picture walk, and you stop and you see a word that you think you're going to need to teach. You can teach it at that time, or you can teach it while you're reading the book. It just depends on the group of kids. Eventually, not right now. Okay, so this story is called The Three Little Pigs. Okay, The Three Little Pigs, and I want you to look at the pictures first before we're going to do that thing called the picture walk. So we're going to look through, and we know this is not what pigs really do, right?
Yes.
This little pig likes to blow that thing that's called a flute. It's building a house. And now they're dancing.
See the tail.
That's his tail. Uh-oh. What do you think that is?
Frog.
Close. There's another
Fox.
animal that starts with a W.
Wood.
What is it?
Wood.
A wolf.
Wolf.
A wolf.
Wolf.
Yeah, a wolf is an animal. It kind of looks like a fox, but it's a little bit different. It's bigger than a fox.
Building a house.
Mm-hmm. What are they doing? They're laughing, you're right.
They're laughing at this.
We're going to find out. You might not be familiar with. You might point out things and ask them to tell you some things that they know about what you're talking about. So you get into that whole prior knowledge thing where you're asking them, what do you know about? I think they understand it more. They understand the text more if they have something to come to the book with. The more knowledge they have about the subject matter, the more they're going to understand what you're reading to them. And the more they can also relate to it personally. So you try to also bring in their personal experiences sometimes, that they can tell you, oh, you know, if the book is about a zoo or a park, they can tell you when they went to the zoo, what animals they saw, and it's just kind of activating all that different knowledge, which might help them read the story better. What do you know about pigs? What do you know about what do you know about real pigs? Not these pigs.
They're just lying on this mud.
They just lay in the mud?
Yes.
Yeah. What else do you know about them? What do they look like?
Black.
They're black? Some of them could be black.
Pink.
Some are pink, but if they get muddy on them, then they get all brown, right?
Some are black.
And sometimes they're brown even. They can be brown too. And what do they do? Do they do anything?
Nothing. Just lay on the mud.
They lay in the mud. What do they eat?
Even poop.
They don't eat poop.
No. I was here.
That's what they eat here in Africa?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in America they eat vegetables, and sometimes like the trashy part of the vegetables that you would throw away, like the. Well, during reading, I usually read, and if I think that there's a spot that has a good question for comprehension, I'd stop and I'd ask either a specific person or just in general a question to make sure that they're understanding. Explain what a book is, see if they make sure they understand it. You kind of can tell by the look on their faces if they understand it, or if they didn't understand it, you might have to change the vocabulary that you use in order to explain the vocabulary to make sure that they understand it. It's just really important to ask questions and make them kind of open-ended questions and not ask a yes-no question, because you're not getting at the comprehension as much as if you ask a question that is more open-ended, like a what or a who. Once upon a time, there were three little pigs who went out into the big world to build their homes and seek their fortunes. You guys know what fortunes are? When you seek your fortune, do you know what that is? It means they're going to make money. They want to make money. So when you go out and you seek your fortune, you try to find something to do so you can make money. Or where or why. The other thing that I try to do is, at places where it's possible, ask them to predict what they think might happen next, either from what I've read or by looking at the pictures. because that's a strategy that you use when you start reading yourself. You start trying to predict what the words are going to. You can laugh and dance and sing, their busy brother called after them, but I'll be safe, and you'll be sorry when the wolf comes to your door. Why do you think he said that? Why do you think that they will be sorry?
Because their house is with the stick.
And so what does that mean? It's not what?
He's going to break their house.
You think the wolf's going to break their house down? How do you think he's going to do it? He's going to step on it, stomp on it, punch it. What do you think he's going to do?
He's going to step like this.
You think he's going to kick it with his feet? Well, let's see what happens. Ha ha ha, ho ho ho. In Africa, I think I can tell that a lot of the books that I've been reading, it's not the culture from here. So I would know that some things that I'm reading are not going to be culturally relevant every day. You can also tell sometimes by the looks on their faces if they're not understanding what you're reading. And over the years, I've gotten good at being able to understand whether they're with me or whether they're not with me.
Okay.
You can also, the other thing too is you could just ask them, do you know what, I mean I do that a lot with these kids here. Do you know what, just give them the word means, and either they'll say no, or they'll give you something that's close, or they might know what it is because somebody else has read them a book before that had that in it, and some of them remember. Ha ha ha, laughed the first little pig when he saw his brother hard at work. Ho ho ho, laughed the second little pig. Come down and play with us, he called. But the busy little pig did not pause. What does that mean if you pause?
You don't want to go.
When you pause, it means you're doing something and you stop for a little bit, and then you go back and do some more. And so he did not pause. He didn't even stop working at all when they said that. Chin. So then he says, then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in. So is he going to kick it?
Yes. Yes.
Is he going to kick it? It says, I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in. He's going to go, boom. So do you think that the one that's hay is going to knock over from him? After the reading, it's really important it's kind of like driving it home, or making it more memorable to them, making it more, did they really understand the concept? So one of the things, so it's getting at what did they comprehend from the story. Sometimes you ask them what their favorite. It's memory and it's putting it all together. Whereas before they only had to focus on the one page that I had just read. Now it's focusing on the whole story and being able to comprehend more globally what happened in the story as opposed to one specific thing that happened on. When we're doing page by page, that doesn't necessarily check that they understand what's going on in the story from beginning, middle to end. But at the end, if you ask a question and they understand it without having to go back to that specific page, then it really means that they understood what was happening in the whole story. We do lots of activities afterwards, maybe retell the story, get little props and things, and have them help you retell the story. Or ending, isn't it? Yeah. So, Amacha, the first little pig, what did he build his house out of? That first one, it didn't want to work, so he built his house out of, remember what I called that? It was like straw. Very, very thin, not very strong.
Like papyrus.
Like what?
Like papyrus.
Like papyrus, yeah, maybe like papyrus. What did the second pig make his house out of?
This one.
The second one. Don't look at the pictures, just tell me. First we had the hay, or the straw, and it got blown down. And then the second one built his house out of something that also got built down. Sticks. That's okay. I just like to, anything that I can make somebody feel like it's part of their own life, or it relates to them, they might remember it better and like it better and learn from it better. So it makes it be more familiar to them. And so you do the prior knowledge before the story to see what they do know, and then at the end of the story you might kind of do a post kind of thing and see, well, what kind of things did you get out of this that you can take to something else after we're finished. and it's just a relating it to them. I think as much as you can take a story and make it personal for a child, it means more to them. He built his house out of bricks. All right, I have another question. So the bricks was the best house, right? Okay. What do people around here make their houses out of?
Bricks.
Just bricks? I see lots of different houses here, and they're not all bricks. What else? What else?
Bamboo.
Bamboo on the roof, right? What about, what's this made out of? What's this? This is not bricks. Do you know what this stuff is called? What is it?
Cement.
It's like cement. That's the word, cement. It's like cement. And I see lots of tukels when I take my walks around that are made of cement and then a little bit of bricks. Then I've also seen some tukels that are made from mud. It's exciting, they like it. The more they listen to somebody read to them, the more it's going to transfer over to their reading in terms of the fluency that they do, in terms of the looking at the pictures to try to figure out what a word might be if they don't know what it is when they're trying to decode it.